Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
I would love if you can tell us a little bit about your diagnosis with adenomyosis. What symptoms did you get and how long did it take to get diagnosed?
Well, it was probably a really long journey because I think I had symptoms probably since high school, to be
Mm.
fair. But I think obviously of my generation, it was not really spoken about. And then I probably got to like my mid-20s and the symptoms really did get worse at that point. I'd be waking up in the middle of the night, early hours of the morning. The only thing that would make me feel better would be to have like a really hot bath.
Yeah.
So I'd be like in the bath at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then I would just lie on the sofa to try and get back to sleep after that. And that was literally how I coped with it for a really long time. I went to and from the doctors like several times over the years, probably from like my early 20s to getting diagnosed in like my mid 30s.
Mm.
And every time it was always a different scenario, a different solution. My symptoms weren't really taken that seriously. It's like, oh, everyone gets painful periods.
Yeah.
Um, they didn't ever explore like my family history or my medical records. I think at one point they just gave me IBS medication and just said, that should fix it. Um, it was never taken seriously until I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could go and see a private consultant.
Yeah.
And that changed everything for me. Within probably 2 weeks, I already had a good understanding of the fact there was definitely something not right.
Mhm.
And then within a month, I'd been diagnosed with Adeno, which I was so grateful for because I'd finally got an answer to what was going on with me.
Yeah.
I'd always assumed I'd got endo.
Mm.
Actually, it turns out I don't. I have adeno. So it took probably from my 20s to my mid 30s
Yeah.
actually to find out there was actually something
Yeah.
wrong.
And I would say that that's the average
Mm,
diagnosis time for
yeah,
a woman, which is crazy. But also, it's crazy how much going private does.
it is. And, it's difficult. It shouldn't really be that way. I'm really thankful I was in the position to do that. And I think about people that aren't in the position to maybe do that and how long it takes and how difficult it must be for them, because I had a whole fertility journey wrapped up
Yeah.
within my diagnosis as well. And, again, a lot of that happened during the COVID year, so that naturally would slow things down.
Mm.
But again, I was kind of passed from pillar to post with no clear answer for
Yeah.
a really long time. And I think that's one of the most difficult things is dealing with all of the pain and the symptoms that then combined as well with the fertility journey for me and
Mm.
the struggles that we had with that, it was a lot to bear kind of emotionally and physically for a really, really long period of time.
Yeah, I can't imagine how hard that must have been. Okay. Were there times during your journey that you felt like your symptoms weren't fully understood or taken seriously?
Yeah, 100%. And I think I struggled a lot with even things like UTIs as well. Again, a lot of the time you kind of dismissed about it and they didn't want to deal with anything that was physically going on. There was never any investigations done until I went
Yeah.
private. Even when I was going through my fertility journey, I had a couple of investigations done, but not that would have picked up endo or
Yeah.
obviously adeno, which I got diagnosed with. So I think although some procedures were done, I had something done called a HSG where they look at they basically put like a dye in to see if there's any blockage
Mm.
in anywhere in your system. And obviously they did find some things. But again, then I was told on my fertility journey that was part of that would fix everything and that I
Yeah.
was going to be far more likely to be able to conceive now.
Mm.
So again, there was kind of a lot of not misinformation, but I think I was misled in a lot of ways to believe that that pill would fix it, that procedure would make it better,
Yeah.
that there was nothing there. And it's really hard when you know something isn't right.
Yeah. Yeah. And how would you say living with adeno affects your day to day, either mentally, physically, or any other symptoms?
It's quite a tricky question for me because I think when I got my diagnosis, I obviously looked around a lot on social media and different online platforms to get further advice. And I've thought about this a lot. And I'm kind of a year into my diagnosis now and having treatment. I had the IUD fitted, which helps to minimise symptoms and hopefully minimise the impact of the condition overall in my uterus.
Mm.
So leading up to that, I think, you know, everyone deals with things in different ways. For me, I try not to let it affect what I do and when I do it, although that can be really, really difficult if you're having a bad day with it. But I think I would find that more mentally difficult if I was constantly, not being able to come to work. That's something that means a lot to me, and I want to be able to do that. So I think my way of coping is to push through it. That's not always great physically, but mentally that works better for me. Whereas I know a lot of other people have really struggled to kind of hold down employment or find the right role for them because it's hard to work around the symptoms and your condition. Like I say, I'd be up early hours of the morning, kind of waking up in a hot sweat in the pain. So then, your next day isn't the most productive. So I think for me, I've tried to always navigate around it, given that it's quite difficult. And I think what I have learned since my diagnosis is to give my body a little bit of time and try and rest a bit more. I'm not great at that. I just don't think I'm kind of that way. But I think I have to learn as I go through this. And I think I'm trying to make a conscious effort to give my body a rest when it's kind of telling me things aren't right. I'm a lot better now. I've had treatment and I've had the IUD. It's strange because I used to get like a select amount of time where I'd have a really bad period and a really bad run up to it. So I'd maybe have on a bad month, like 2 weeks would be bad and 2 weeks would be okay. Now I don't really get the massive peaks and troughs in kind of how I feel, but I have kind of more consistent discomfort, but that's the word I would use, discomfort. It's very rare now. I get a lot of pain, which is really, really uncomfortable. So I think that's one of the more difficult things to answer the question in terms of like navigating it. It kind of depends. And I think it's taken like a whole 12 months for my body to get used to the treatment and what I've had done. Only now am I starting to understand it properly. So I think it's an ever evolving journey, really.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's specific to the person, really. Like what works for you might not work for others.
This is it. I work at a desk all day. So actually, if I am in discomfort, I can move through that. If you're in a job where it's very physical and you're very busy and you're on your feet all the day, I think that could be really challenging. I used to work in retail before I came here years and years ago, and I think I look back, I'm not actually sure how I did it. Because now, I'm having a bad day, but I'm sat down at a desk, I can have a hot water bottle and I work in the environment where it's accepted and I can have space and time to kind of navigate my role that day in a way that works for me if I'm not feeling great.
Yeah, 100%. It is all about like how you can adapt stuff and make it work for you.
100%.
Okay, so what have you found most helpful in supporting your symptoms?
I think it depends, to be honest, because it depends on what I'm doing that day or where I'm going to be. So I'll be honest, the period harmony patches were like a revelation for me because
so good.
Yeah, if I'm out and about, so whether that's like socially or with work, they're just a lifesaver because they really do just target the area of pain and it just soothes it. So I think there was one day I was going to a meeting in London and all of a sudden just pains kicked off. Don't know why, I wasn't expecting it. So I literally just nipped to the toilet, whipped one out of my bag, stuck it on my back, and it was great. I could just get through the day. So I think they're great from the go and being really versatile depending on what you're doing and when it hits you unexpectedly. A really hot bath always helps me. It's like one of my favourite things. I think I just de-stress completely anyway in the bath. So I love an excuse for a long bath and read a good book. I think listening to my body a little bit more because like I said, I'm not very good at that. So I'm trying to do it a little bit more and just give my body space and time to think, right, you're not feeling great today, so don't be doing like 3 hours of gardening. Just have a little potter and then relax. Yeah, so I love a granny hobby.
I wasn't expecting you to say
Yeah, I love gardening. It's actually really good for me for my mental health. I think being outside is a big thing for me. So I think again, like walking as well, because it's quite manageable, but not kind of going on a massive hike up really big inclines, trying to pick a fruit which is quite flat and measured. So I can still move my body in a way that feels realistic, but I'm not kind of static all day long. And I'm always really conscious of that because I'm very sedentary because I sit at a desk most of the day.
Yeah.
So but gentle exercise outdoors, baths and period harmony.
No, I think it's really empowering to like recognise when your body needs to rest.
Yeah.
because a lot of people just power through it and then break down completely. But it's really, really good to recognise when you need rest and actually giving your body that rest.
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of women aren't very good at it. I think naturally, whether they're mothers, they're busy with their career, they're normally quite caring by nature. So women are always thinking about other people and not really thinking about themselves. So I don't think it comes naturally to us sometimes to just be like, this doesn't feel great today.
But also the period harmony.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are fabulous. And they're so discreet and you can literally just chuck them in your bag.
Yeah, exactly. I always kind of joke sometimes, like, because I get pain like really in my lower abdomen, and like sometimes I don't want to get them too close. But like I'm going to give myself an inverted bikini wax when I take it off. You know, these are the things that we deal with.
I've got little stomach hairs and I'm always
conscious of that. It's definitely better to take them off in the shower, but to be honest, they do a really good job of
they're like glued on there.
Yeah, you do want them stuck on all day, so they last. Dampen them with a bit of water is definitely the best way to take them off. In terms of what it'd be good for people to understand is that it's kind of a lifelong condition. I think a lot of, not the difficulty for me, but sometimes I think after the journey of my surgery and things like that and my treatment, a lot of people are like, oh, you're better now. And I'm like, well, no, not really. Like, yes, to a certain extent, but I'm navigating still symptoms and all the challenges that come with a diagnosis of adeno, knowing that like the viability of me having children is probably not going to be a reality for me now, because obviously I've got the IUD and that, you know, fundamentally that's an implant that stops you from getting pregnant. So that was a choice I took for the treatment so I can feel better. But I think sometimes people think it's fixed, and I'm like, it's a chronic thing, it won't ever be fixed. So where family and friends can understand that a little bit more, it's really helpful, because I think there was almost this expectation after I'd recovered maybe 6 months down the line that, oh yeah, are you good now? And I'm like, well, no, not really. I'm dealing with a lot of mental and emotional strain plus still physical symptoms. So I think that's really important. I think if you can be open with that as well with your friends and your family to help them understand, because obviously they're just going to try and support you in the best way they know how, and they don't know what they don't know. So trying to be open about it is one of the best things I'd recommend. I think if you're struggling for answers, I think you really do have to advocate for yourself. And like I say, it's difficult for me to sit here and say that too much, because I was lucky enough to be able to use private services, which accelerated then my diagnosis. But if you're not in that position, I think the best thing to do is make sure you're keeping track of your symptoms, that when you go, you are talking to a GP. And if, you know, you're not getting the right answers from that GP, ask to see another one, and maybe just say to them, like, I've listed my symptoms. This isn't something that's happened sporadically. It's happening consistently. It's affecting my life in this way. And I think all you can do is really just push that forward in every kind of opportunity you've got with a healthcare professional, and just hope that the conversations that are happening now on socials all over the place are raising awareness of it. You've kind of got to hope that that's going to make a difference in the professional setting, and that the symptoms will start to be taken more seriously than they maybe have years before.
100%. Well, thank you so much for your time, Sarah. It was really great to hear about your symptoms, how you're battling with it, and to gain some awareness on it. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Yay!
If you need anything else, just let me know if you want